emergency? How can I help you?
I need to say, my boyfriend's just come home and he's smashing up the house and I don't know what to do.
Where are you?
797 Crumlin Road.
Just calm down. 797.
Crumlin Road.
Just stay on the line for me. 797 Crumlin Road. In Belfast.
Yeah.
And what's your name?
Gemma.
Sorry, I need your name.
Gemma.
Gemma.
2 officers were immediately dispatched to Gemma's North Belfast address and arrived at her Crumlin Road residence around 2 a.m. While one officer knocked on the door, the other was compelled to investigate a dark alley adjacent to the flat. As the second officer walked in that direction, he saw a dark figure inside the alley. And when the cop looked down, he saw a pipe bomb land inches from his right foot. Adrenaline took over, and the officer ran across the street, but tripped on a curb as the explosion rang out behind him. The cop got to his feet when another metal clunk sounded out, and he saw another pipe bomb. The cop took cover in a second alley as it exploded, but when he looked back, the alley where he saw the dark figure was empty. However, there was a treasure trove of evidence left behind, including a SIM card, gloves, shopping bag, and footprints, to go with multiple CCTV angles showing what was believed to be the bomber walking to and from the scene of the crime. 7 hours later, a call to a TV station claimed the attack had been carried out by a group of dissident Irish Republicans calling themselves the United Struggle. In reality, the United Struggle had 2 members, 27-year-old Christine Connor from North Belfast and 28-year-old Stuart Downes from Shrewsbury in Western England. Based on CCTV and the evidence left in the alley, police believed Connor carried out the pipe bombing and traced the call claiming it to Downes. In June 2013, Connor was charged with attempted murder, possessing improvised explosives with intent to endanger life, causing an explosion likely to endanger life, and preparation of a terrorist act. Stuart Downes, who police also believed acquired bomb materials in England and sent them to Connor in Belfast, was charged with conspiracy to murder and conspiracy to commit an act of terrorism. Both denied everything, with Connor going so far as to deny even knowing Stuart Downes. And in a sense, she was right, because this was the first time Stuart Downes had ever seen the real Christine Connor. As it turned out, Christine Connor was also known as Kate McCauley, an administrator for a community Facebook page called the United Struggle. The United Struggle said its 183 members would engage in an array of activities, ranging from property destruction to the occupation of government buildings, and featured a link where you could donate to Connor's PayPal. So who was Kate McCauley? The photos Connor used to catfish an array of men to her page were those of San Anderson, a smiling Swedish fashion designer and model. One of those men was Stuart Downes, eager to connect with a beautiful woman like Kate. The two formed a fast friendship as Kate educated Stuart on the Irish Republican cause and the evils of the British state. But after their history lessons, Stuart and Kate's chat turned from educational to intimate, as they exchanged a flurry of romantic messages and developed what Stuart believed was a real online relationship. However, the only thing he ever saw were the messages she sent and the photos he believed to be of Kate McCauley, his model, fashion designer, Irish Republican girlfriend. But in early 2013, their relationship took another turn. It wasn't just enough for Kate to oppose the police in Northern Ireland. She wanted to hurt them in a way they couldn't come back from, and suddenly needed Stuart Downes to send her the materials to build a bomb. It did not take long to convince Stuart Downes, a man with no connection to Ireland prior to meeting Kate online. And in between February and May of 2013, Downes acquired and tested the components for pipe bombs before shipping them off to Connor in Belfast to build. A pipe bomb, as its name suggests, is an explosive packed into a capped pipe with a fuse sticking out. Due to the pressure within the pipe, a low-level explosive will have a much larger impact. Additionally, sharp objects are packed into the explosive, which, along with the fragmented pipe, creates a deadly burst of shrapnel. 2 weeks before the Crumlin Road attack on May 28th, Connor made her first attempt to kill on May 16th. Shortly after 2 a.m., Connor phoned 999, claiming to be a woman living off the Ligonier Road who had seen a metal tube on the wall between she and her neighbor's home. The police response was not immediate, and Connor tossed 2 pipe bombs into the street as a couple returning from holiday drove past. But thankfully, no one in the car was hurt. Following her arrest for the attack 2 weeks later, detectives searched Connor's home and inside a bedroom mattress found a mobile phone with a video she sent to Downes in preparation for the May 16th attack.
So, and in 7 or 8 minutes, the helicopter will be out. In fact, the drones will probably be out, which is even worse than the helicopter. Then when they come, I'm literally fucking it at them. I'm running, which gives me then a straight road to run up. But then also what I was thinking of, putting that ocean on the road around about here, and when I hear the sirens coming, I just walk out, stick the 2 things down, let them run.
In June of 2013, Stuart Downes was granted bail and allowed to return to his home in England. But Christine Connor, who refused to stand in court as the offenses were being read to her, was ordered to remain in custody. And as the police and MI5 further investigated Connor's Facebook conversations as Kate McCauley, they found another exchange of messages between Connor and a young man named Zach Gevelinger, a 24-year-old American college janitor from Wisconsin who had donated hundreds of dollars to the United Struggle. In July of 2013, Gevelinger flew to Belfast to visit Connor in jail for her birthday, laying eyes on the woman he knew as Kate for the very first time. Though allotted 2 hours for the visit, jail staff stopped the meeting short and escorted Gevelinger back to the visiting area, where he was arrested and taken to the Musgrave Serious Crime Suite to be held in question for 9 days. Gevelinger supposedly answered no comment to everything he was asked, believing himself to be a political prisoner like Connor. But on the 9th day of his interrogation, Zach Gevelinger had a seizure and was sent to hospital. Following his return to jail, Gevelinger was deported to America, where his Wisconsin home was raided by the FBI. The feds seized computer equipment confirming the link to Connor and placed Gevelinger under regular surveillance, turning his quiet life as a college janitor into a living nightmare. It's also important to note that unlike Stuart Downes, the online relationship between Gevelinger and Connor never appeared to be romantic. Gevelinger, who was already in a committed relationship, was also a committed socialist who believed Connor was just an innocent Irish Republican being framed by the British state. 18 months later, a second set of bail hearings were held in December of 2014. Where Connor would again refuse to stand as the offenses were being read to her. The prosecution strongly opposed her release, citing Connor's refusal to wear an electronic tag, as well as a bullet which had been mailed on her behalf to Stuart Downes 1 month before. The judge denied the bail request, saying, "What confidence can I have in somebody who could not even stand up when asked by the court clerk?" But the following summer, Connor agreed to wear the electronic tag and was granted bail in June 2015. After 2 years in jail, it must have been quite the relief. Unfortunately, the same could not be said for Stuart Downes. The following year, on the afternoon of June 18, 2016, Downes went to visit his girlfriend in Shrewsbury, but never came home. The next day, his family found a note, and Stuart Downes was reported missing to the police. A high-risk missing person search commenced, and the body of Stuart Downes was found hanging in the woodland on June 24th. Coroner John Ellery would conclude, It is a material fact that he was likely to go on trial in October, and if found guilty, it was likely he would have been given a lengthy sentence to serve in Northern Ireland. It is clear from the note he left that this outcome weighed heavily on his mind. By his actions and intent, I record a conclusion of suicide. The case of Stuart Downes is a complicated one. On one hand, he was a troubled and vulnerable man, probably just begging for a real human connection, and unfortunately ended up getting brainwashed by Christine Connor in the process. But on the other hand, he knew exactly what he was doing, collecting bomb parts, mailing them to Belfast, knowing they were going to be used to kill police. In October of 2016, a 28-year-old Zach Gevelinger married his longtime girlfriend in Wisconsin. The two were a happy couple who loved to travel and play with their 5 dogs. But the fact remained that Gevelinger was paranoid, with the FBI still keeping him under watch. It was all a mistake in his eyes. Gevelinger still believed Christine Connor would prove herself innocent and everything would go away. Because the truth was, as long as Connor was innocent, so was Gevelinger, the man who gave her what little money he made around the time she was planning her attack. On the 3rd of May, 2017, almost 4 years to the date of her arrest, 31-year-old Christine Connor stepped into a courtroom and was asked to enter a plea for her upcoming trial. Connor told the court, "I am not guilty, but on advice, I will plead guilty." Accepting a guilty plea for 4 charges including attempted murder, the judge let Connor out on bail ahead of her sentencing the following month, warning her not to take it as any indication of what sentence he may impose. On May 5th, just 2 days after Connor changed her plea to guilty, Zach Gevelinger left his home for a night shift at work, checked into a hotel room, and took his own life. In a tribute, Gevelinger's family said a few words. Zach wanted to see the world become a better place and enjoyed working to make it so. He was known for always being willing to help others and for his wonderful sense of humor. It brought him great joy to make those around him smile. He was such a bright light in the world. While Gevelinger clearly had some misguided notions on the modern Irish Republican struggle, much like Stuart Downes, he did not deserve to lose his life. Stuart Downes' sister Claire would later say, "2 lives lost, 2 families destroyed. And for what? Some people just don't have a heart. Simple as that." On June 19, 2017, Christine Connor was sentenced to 16 years in prison for her 2013 attack. Connor gasped upon hearing the sentence and quickly changed her mind. In October of 2017, Christine Connor argued that her guilty plea should be thrown out because it was ambiguous and never should have been accepted by a judge. Connor, who had previously pled, "I am not guilty, but on advice I will plead guilty," was actually right. Her plea was vague and should never have been accepted in a court of law. In December of 2018, Christine Connor won her appeal and was released from custody on bail, enjoying the freedom and fresh air that Stuart Downes and Zach Gevelinger would never enjoy again. After a summer where she attended a concert and spent time with friends, Christine Connor finally had her day in court in November of 2019, and the Crown's case was airtight, with the 2 officers who responded to her 999 call taking the stand to describe the night in detail. But the defense countered that while the officer saw someone in the alley the pipe bombs were thrown from, the prosecution could not prove it was Christine Connor. However, Crown prosecutors presented a plethora of evidence found at the scene of the crime, including a pair of gloves matching Connor's DNA, footprints which matched her shoes, a top with Connor's blood on it, and the phone she used to make the hoax call, pretending to be a victim of domestic violence. Connor claimed she had been walking in the area of the explosions as part of her Weight Watchers exercise program. She also claimed that while walking along the Crumlin Road, she heard 2 loud explosions that made her drop her phone and sustained a cut to her hand due to flying debris. After reminding the court that she was a second-class citizen, Connor was asked if she believed in the violent or peaceful struggle. That's when Connor said the following: "I will not condemn anyone who continues with the armed struggle, but that does not mean I'm involved in that. I support NASA, but I'm not an astronaut." In the summer of 2020, a 35-year-old Christine Connor was found guilty of 4 terrorist offenses, including attempted murder and preparation of a terrorist act. Judge Stephen Fowler described Connor as cynical and wedded to violence before giving her a 20-year sentence. Justice Minister Naomi Long would then reveal the bill for Connor's legal aid had cost taxpayers £934,425. Connor, who described her verdict as the work of state agents planted inside Republican gangs, was taken into custody, where she would start the appeals process and eat up a lot more taxpayer money. Hydebank Wood, the South Belfast Correctional Facility, most commonly known for housing young offenders, was also the only women's prison in the country. During her previous stints on remand, Connor had refused to interact with Hydebank's general female population because she viewed herself as a political prisoner. And now that she was a permanent resident, a more drastic measure had to be taken. In 2020, the controversial Fern 4 unit was completed to house so-called Republican prisoners like Christine Connor. With furniture bought from IKEA, expensive seating, and a huge TV mounted on a common room wall, prison service bosses reportedly spent £482,000 of public money to overhaul the wing into the most modern unit of the women's prison. In December of 2020, judges at the Court of Appeal dismissed Connor's challenge to her guilty verdict. Following Connor's failed challenge of her conviction, Northern Ireland's Director of Public Prosecutions launched his own appeal against her sentence, claiming 20 years was unduly lenient. Senior judges would agree, and Christine Connor's prison term was increased from 20 to 25 years. In July of 2023, Christine Connor was charged with assaulting 2 female prison officers after she refused to come back from the yard where she was sunbathing. After refusing to leave her cell to attend preliminary hearings, Christine Connor finally appeared in court in November of 2023, where she announced her decision to take the case to trial, where she will undoubtedly waste even more time and cost taxpayers even more money. Christine Connor is a delusional psychopath who tried to kill police officers and caused the deaths of 2 other people. She never expressed remorse for anything, and while we'll never know, I hope the judges who sentenced her considered the lives of Stuart Downes and Zach Gevelinger. But her case calls into question a deeper issue within the system. Between her legal fees, the construction of Fern 4, and its yearly bill to maintain, Connor has cost the taxpayers of Northern Ireland millions in public money, and with her upcoming assault trial, that number will only increase. As of today, Hydebank's Fern 4 unit has 2 prisoners, West Belfast dissident Nuala Perry and Christine Connor. They live in a self-contained yard separate from the general population and do not mix with anyone but themselves. Truly a prison within a prison. And somewhere in that prison, right now, sits Christine Connor, rejected by society, the courts, and even dissident Republicans, while never once offering condolences for her role in the deaths of 2 men, or explaining how her pipe bomb attack was going to help unify Ireland. A pipe bomb attack that she is denied at every turn and continues to use as material to portray herself the victim. But to put it in the words of Christine Connor, just because she supports NASA doesn't mean she's an astronaut.